So I've got this Loctited and torqued in place, barrel extension, and after you've done that, then you know which way is up. This pin, which is 125 thousandths, or an eighth of an inch, you drive that into this hole, and that is so that the barrel fits onto the upper receiver in only a specific direction. There's a notch on the top of the upper receiver, so here's the rail, obviously, so that's the top, so that pin goes up. So the barrel will fit into the upper receiver this way, and hammering this pin into that hole guarantees it goes in the right way. And why does that matter? Well, that matters because the next thing I'm going to do is drill the gas port. And the gas port has to line up precisely with this hole. So the gas port has to be straight up, just like this is straight up. So the question then is, at this point, where do you drill the gas hole? And here's a gas block that I'm going to use. And this will butt up against this shoulder that I turned on my lathe into the barrel. But that still doesn't answer the question. You've got to look in here where the gas port is and measure the distance from this face to the gas port, or to the hole where the gas port feeds in the barrel block here, and that'll determine how far from the shoulder you drill the gas port. I read in different places 295 thousandths, 300 thousandths. So the way they manufactured this, they drill a hole straight through the top here and drill 2 holes and tap them for set screws here, but they also then drilled on through this hole into the upper surface on through to this hole, and that's where the gas flows through that hole into this hole. There's also a hole here, and that's for a roll pin that goes laterally through the gas tube and holds that in place. The gas tube has a hole only on one side here, which matches up with this internal hole. So the gas flows out of the gas port, up through this hole, into the hole in the tube, and down the tube. So 295 or 300 thousandths, that's both close enough, except this hole, meaning this hole, because they drilled again straight through here into the top here for the gas hole. That's not 295 or 300 thousandths from this surface. So I put a gauge pin in here until I found one that fit nicely into this hole, and measured from this surface to the edge of this hole plus half the dowel pin, or half the gauge pin distance, which gives me the distance from this face to the center of that hole. And that turned out to be about 265 thousandths, 265 and a half. So that's the distance I need to drill the gas port from that shoulder. And then I'll put the gas block on. It'll butt up against that shoulder, and the hole should line up nicely. So I've got this hole for the pin on top. So what I'm going to do here is just scribe on top, so I'll know the distance, or know exactly where to put the hole. There. Let's see if, yeah, you can see it right there. And then what I'll do, you want that hole to be straight up on top, or the spot where you're going to drill, you want it to be on top. And you do that by getting this hole on top. In other words, straight up and down. And the way I figure might be the easiest to do that is, since this is 125 thousandths I was able to get a 124 thousandths gauge pin. Actually, since I painted it, that might not go. Actually, this is the larger gauge pin. This is 135 thousandths, and this one is the one I used here. It fits in here and fits right into that hole. And that's the biggest one that'll go in there. So this is 135 thousandths. I'm not sure what drill bit that works out to. Doesn't really matter. But I measured from this face to the edge of that hole plus half of this. And that gave me 126 and a half. This is 124 thousandths. Let's see if this will go in here now. I painted this, so this might not go. So the 124 thousandths doesn't quite go, and I don't want to force it. This is 123, and a little bit of paint might be interfering. This drops in, and it's just a tiny bit loose, but I think it's good enough for me to get this angle really close. So what I'll do is I'll go to the drill press, and I'm going to use this bit. It's 3/32. I don't remember what the math was. I think it's around 94 thousandths. That'll be for the gas port. I'll just line this up with the spindle and the drill bit by eye. Should be pretty easy. And then drill on that line. And this hole, since it's 135 thousandths, it's quite a bit bigger than this hole will be, so there'll be a tiny bit of wiggle room if I don't get it absolutely perfect. You know, if I'm a few thousandths off, shouldn't be a problem. So that's the plan. Let's go to the drill press.